Hello everybody, my name is Tiffany Allen and I'll be talking about the Atlanta Watershed Tour I went on, a community's fight for clean water.
You can see the parking lot. It's that spot right there behind you. That is basically a swimming pool, unfortunately. It was so forceful that it broke through a steel door at the back of the church, and all of the water went into the basement. It flooded the underground parking area. It flooded completely our fellowship hall and all the way to the back side of our church. It took about, say, 4 years to get that renovated. And the church insurance did pay for it. The church did battle with the city, and unfortunately it didn't go well for that. But now, as stewards of this property and this community, that flooding affects us, not only the building, but the work that God has called us to do. We're unable to carry out ministry and to serve the community when we're underwater. So part of our stewardship efforts by participating in this program is to be informed and have proactive measures so that it doesn't happen again. And some of those measures would include storm drain activities, cleaning, participating with WAWA, and learning a wealth of information about the watersheds. I'm trying to think of a space. Back here, where the fencing is, if you see around there, during the time of the flood, this new concrete wall here wasn't here. That wall was built, I want to say 2 years ago, after the sale of part of our property to the city, so that it could be part of this beautification process for what's happening now. And to stop the water, but it did not stop the water. You know, more recently we had the flooding where that the Waymo got stuck in the water. On that very day when the flood hit, our church pastor and our facilities manager had to rush over here because the flooding had begun again. And our facilities manager jumped in the storm drain to clean it out so that the water could go through. So these are the things that we're plagued with, and we're working diligently to learn more of how we can prevent that flooding from happening. And we know that the concrete jungle over the hill is a part of that. So these are the things that we want to eradicate. Thank you.
This used to be an area where people used to live nearby city.
Whatever we're using on our landscapes, it is carrying, when we dump outside, our trash and debris is being carried. Quite frankly, when there are encampments, outside and people are living outside, that waste is all.
Sometimes waste gets in here.
Oh Lord, help me. Ready?
Just point the microphone.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Like you're at church.
Okay, the project actually started in about 2018. If you had seen this area at that time, you would have seen nothing but kudzu over here. It was impossible to even walk over there. No one would want to walk over there. It was all overgrown. There was nothing you could do in this particular area. Had a very bad reputation, as well as this corner over here had a bad reputation. What had happened was the city had been sued because it was so polluted. If you went back far enough in time, you'd be able to come out here and play in the pool, or you'd be able to be baptized, or all kinds of activities happen here in Hunter Hills at the Proctor Creek location. But by that time, when it was being sued, it was all polluted, and you couldn't do any of those things. Because of the pollution, the city had to address it. The City of Refuge, in terms of the naming convention, it was called Green Sparrow. Conservation Fund came to some of the meetings. We were just starting up as a neighborhood association. We decided that we wanted the name Hunter Hills to be represented in the title, not Green Sparrow. That's why it's Hunter Hills. Refuge comes from the City of Refuge. We haven't passed it yet, but there's a facility called the City of Refuge, which is fantastic in terms of helping underprivileged people. So we named it Hunter Hills Refuge. That's where the name came from. In terms of the build-out, all of this has been cleared out. It is going to be a very beautiful area. It's going to be restored to wildlife. All the crawfish and the birds and the squirrels and chipmunks and everything else that have been here at one time. We want to bring all of those back because we've lost all of it with all the pollution and all the work. So that's part of what's going on here. So you're seeing it in its final stages. It's been about 5 years or so that they've been working on it since they broke ground, and we're making tremendous progress.
Upstream versus what it now looks like downstream. So the entirety of the Proctor Creek extent, which is the left side here, was concrete channel.
Okay.
It's very tributary here. You can see snaking around to the right used to connect immediately in front of us. So what the city has done, or what the engineers had designed, was a extension of the Greensbury tributary that snaked through, or had sinuosity through the floodplain here to the right. So that is what we're calling the Greensbury tributary, and on the left is the Proctor Creek main stem. I know it's nice and shady here, but I would love to get you all down in this little peninsula area and we can start looking at some of these in-stream structures.
Okay.
Combined CSO. So it's the Greensbury CSO and stream. It's likely that just like the water sources that are flowing through that facility, I will say that it mostly takes on a lot of storm water. So one interesting thing that we found in constructing this project is we can get a rainstorm over this way, and we can get a tremendous amount of flow right here in this creek, and we will have base flow over on this creek, and it's sort of amazing to see. So yeah, I would say, of course this does have a base flow, but this takes on a lot.
He's saying there's a lot of because it's so green because of combined sewer overflow. Wait, you see the green?
Base flow is
Yeah.
the flow
It's green.
and
Creek is
like non-rain conditions.
very
right?
green.
There's a very good chance that most of you would be under dirt. That's how much dirt was removed on this site. I believe at the lowest point at one of the pools, which are downstream of these in-stream structures. I just want to say that it was 11 feet from the original grade. So what we've essentially created is a bowl. I can think of a cereal bowl that is designed to collect stormwater. These in-stream structures slow that stormwater down and create what we're calling a backwater condition. So we have a pinch point up at the bridge, and we have all these in-stream structures that kind of capture this water and force it to sort of back up. And during really significant rain events, it's able to overtop onto this floodplain area and spread out. So it slows down the velocity. It captures a tremendous amount. It's 6.4 million gallons within a given event that this site can capture. So yeah, really awesome site stormwater wise, and yeah, it's gonna be beautiful too. So it's the best of both worlds. Question?
That's one thing. So some questions I just wanted you to think about is gentrification and community.
So they're trying to build like 96 homes around this area.
Existing community members engaged in the process, and there should be community oversight and input. So a lot of factors come into play when things like this are proposed. Land, water, equity, and power. Communities need to be involved in the process. So I'm going to turn it over to Oya to talk about the topography and land use.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tucker. So as Mr. Tucker was saying, we have a stream here, and it is within the regulated flood zone that was designated by FEMA. Now, as we are going through, well, everybody take a look at the stream. This is a tributary, it's called Mosley Tributary. Mr. Tucker said it does flow into Proctor Creek. But look at the width of the stream. Look at how steep the slopes are on the stream. What are you noticing? Sorry, I can't hear y'all. If y'all were saying something. Well, if you don't know, you can tell it's varied in size. The banks are very steep, and that is because of the historic flows that have gone through here, have eroded the stream over time. Because of the velocity of the stream, it creates a very deep valley rather than a flatter plain like we saw at Proctor Creek. This is one of the issues where we're seeing high erosion happening, which will affect the quality of the water. We have a lot of sediment, a lot of pollution in the water, you know, that as far as environmental impacts, if you have a lot of sediment and dirt and mud, that will absolutely decrease the quality of the water. Now, again, as we've been going through the high points of Atlanta, the low points, because we are in the Piedmont, the foothills, you can tell that we are going to have a lot of tributaries. Now, as we start to think about how federal, state, and local laws impact our tributary systems, they are supposed to be protecting these systems in our floodplains. As of right now, the state of Georgia, the Georgia EPD says that no buildings can be built within 50 feet of a stream. 50 feet from the middle of the stream on either side. And so with the variance request, well, that's the state of Georgia. And then the city of Atlanta says that you can't, if you are trying to build in the city of Atlanta, you cannot build within 75 feet of a stream. That variance request, like Mr. Tucker was saying, is the developer requesting to the city to put structures, fill, change the topography, the bottom contours for the multi-use development. And as we know, if you don't have permeable surfaces, you will just exacerbate this problem, and anything downstream would be affected terribly. So these variance requests is something that the city and the state regulates. And they're the ones who will allow or not allow certain developments to occur. Absolutely.
So what about the MPU?
Request for this development and the proposed variance request for the setbacks, which the setbacks, after looking at the request, was to also build within the floodplain, but also to decrease the amount of vegetation area as opposed to, that's next to the street. So they want to be able to build their multi-use townhomes that are probably $700,000 right up to the street, rather than having some distance, like in our single-family homes here, where there's offsets. That's what they call offsets. Now, as a citizen, you are more than welcome to go to your city council and say, this is not right. They already have the plans, and they didn't do an environmental assessment for this place. They don't know what kind of environmental or plants or animals, wildlife that live in there. You know, so that is the main issue. The water quality, quality of life. how that will change. What do you think having a multi-use with 250 homes, units, what will that do to the character and the culture of this community as we talk about gentrification, like Mr. Darrell said?
I mean, no one in this area will be able to afford it. So who would be living here?
Yeah.
Who would actually live in the area if no one can afford it?
Yeah.
Come on, property tax is gonna go up. Thank you.
Exactly. That's it.
Can you say what she said louder?
Yep.
You know.
Yep. The property taxes will go up.
Plus, you got to look at the elders that are already here, the legacy residents. What's going to happen to them and their property and their value? All of them are going to be displaced. And for what? $1? I think communities have to band together, not just this NPU, but NPUs ought to band together against developers. That way you can make things move better, because numbers count.
Yeah. Plus, they won't give you a job because of the zip code you live in. Yeah. And then you can't afford what they're building. Yeah.
That's, I mean,
So you saying that FEMA already
essentially it's a purge.
floodplain, correct?
That's correct.
So now we know if we're talking insurance, you legally have a right to claim flood insurance because it's on a FEMA map. A lot of the areas aren't on FEMA floodplain map. So the change in the barriers, does that change how FEMA then would code this area?
that's a great question. I want to bring up 2 points. So the FEMA designation, they take a look and change the regulated FEMA maps based on the contours. So if they're changing the contours of the floodplains, then evidentially the FEMA maps would change and you would either lose coverage. Now the thing is that if you have been, if you already have a house that's in a floodplain and you didn't have flood insurance, you cannot get flood insurance after the fact.
Wow.
That is something, so that is another way, as we talk about systemic problems, how the system is impacting you. Again, if your property taxes are going up, you're in a zip code where they have said it has high crime, you have to pay for insurance, and the insurance premiums are already high because of the zip code you're living in, and they're now using AI to determine and use algorithms to determine what you could qualify for. They will also deny or approve your coverage based on that. These are all connected factors that impact our communities, our seniors especially, but also our youth. What can we leave them if all of these houses that have been in families for generations, they can no longer afford it because the property taxes are $5,000, and somebody might be living on fixed income. So all of these, like what happens to the rivers, what happens to our environment, has lasting impact. I would even dare say trickle down impact to us and our communities.
Just coming up basic multiple development. So this is part of the skill to sit where you can actually get down there, you walk to the vine, stuff like that, you might can sample the water and see what's in it at some level, if you feel up to do it. But also I just want to talk about a little bit about how we got started with Entrenchment Creek, while we were concerned about our watershed. This is a watershed that serves the Peopletown community. I'm from the Peopletown community, which is right close by to Summer Hill, Mechanicsville, Pittsburgh, also Capitol Gateway. Those are some of the neighborhoods that where Entrenchment Creek feed. Most of those little small creeks, I would say the old neighborhood, fed right into the Entrenchment Creek. It's a particular part that's in Peopletown. And some of you might have heard about the flood block, or the poop pond that I call it, that they proposed to put in Peopletown, which is now the city watershed management is conducting a 3-story whole block vault, they call it, but you might want to call it a vault, storage tank, whatever word you want to use. But they're going 3 stories underground for a whole block. It's under construction. You might have came by there, I'm not for sure, but y'all go by Atlanta Avenue on the street? No. Okay, but it's that's something you might want to see, just in terms of seeing a vault being constructed. And it's going to take probably 32 years to finish. But it's a big project because there's a lot of dirt that need to be removed, and a lot of meetings and a lot of interaction with people in the community, in particular people who live along that way who've been affected tremendous by the building of that fault in the neighborhood, and continue to be a lot of negative stuff that's going on before the flood. And we not for sure. We for sure that this would not answer the problem about flood and people down in the problem of early neighborhood, because the city don't have a plan to capture stormwater at the source. When they come up with a plan to capture stormwater where it started, then you can start talking about things that the city is doing correctly, but they're not doing this correctly. So just for y'all information. The entrenchment creeks serve a lot of neighborhoods that feed into this. They feed into the South River. Eventually that's where this creek will go to the South River. There's a lot of small parts of water that kind of ponds and stuff that feed into this. But this one is an area, like I said, if you could see it, a lot of development has taken over, and they didn't get any development, all the development around Turner Field and the Summerhill area, the Belt Line. A lot of them have also has started making sure that we can't see entrenchment creek based on that development. And so a lot of other development come out here. But also, you can find a little bit more information. You can look on the America River website. You will have part of that by entrenchment creek, Community Stewardship Council. Also, you can just look on our own website if you want to get more information to find out about what we're doing in entrenchment creek. And so, organization that everybody can be a part of. You don't have to need to live in the entrenchment creek area, but you can be a part of, particularly when you start fighting for watersheds in Atlanta. So that's an open invitation to you all. But if you know of somebody that lives in those neighborhoods, that in entrenchment creek, it goes all the way out to the Key Road, out to the South River. Probably might be familiar and read in history about Atlanta, the old Atlanta prison farm. That's where they used to take people who was incarcerated downtown. They took them to the farm to work, and they had livestock and everything else there. But that land still exists. That's the land. Some of that land is used for this training facility for people all over the world, I guess, for law enforcement purpose, not for the neighborhood purpose. But still some of the land is still there. And the Treasury Park is one of the things that yet to be developed, that they need to develop. It's actually in DeKalb County because it's right on the borderline of DeKalb County and the city of Atlanta. So if you're familiar with Moreland Avenue, you know one side of Moreland is Atlanta, one side of Moreland Avenue is DeKalb County, in most parts. So if you want to kind of look at Constitution Road, a lot of the area rides coming to the entrenchment creek area. We have what they call the Brownsville neighborhood here. You actually have the Brownville golf course that's a little bit further from us. But a lot of stuff like here is called the Brownsville neighborhood that's going on in this particular neighborhood. So that, like I said, a lot of neighborhoods, we all welcome to be a part of it. And we definitely trying to make sure we get more people involved, engaged with your local water system, even more than that. But we want to concern about water, all one water, and that we got to preserve it and keep it and try to maintain so that we don't lose the one thing that we do have, the water. Because we all got to have water for all our use. I don't know how much more y'all want me to talk about. Yeah, they got the law thing. You know, Atlanta's in a lawsuit with the feds in terms of certain stuff they're supposed to do. And I think they got like 2 more years actually. Supposed to 1 year. Okay, I haven't been all the research, but they've been working on it. I think they're trying to use the fault they're doing in people's town to try to answer for a lot of the stuff they have not. Because they said we captured so much water for a long time, and we just not sure really how they work. So a lot of us still don't agree with it. We know that the city's fighting, and we know the city have not put the resources they in the area they need to put it. But watershed management do have a lot of money. And then, because you pay those big water bills that you're paying now, you already know that. So they pack the dollars. They can do more than what they're actually doing. But they always have done a bad job in terms of infrastructure, in terms of in the neighborhood. So that's just one of the things in terms of them putting together a plan to capture the particular water that's been running down flood down the neighborhood in the south end. So that's one of the things they said they were addressing. For instance, still a combined sewage, so it's talking about storm water and sewage water running together. They still doing that, and that's just a mandate. They should do that and separate, but they don't separate on this end. But that's another thing we need to advocate, in particular, that they separate the water.
Mr. Ward, can you talk?
But it's something that you have to fight for. They don't just happen. And that we had to pretty much make the city to be engaged with us. The last thing we actually did, the mayor was at Harvard High School with his neighborhood engagement thing. He thought he was just going to get away without talking to us. And so several started in the front, and then when he got through talking about all these beautiful ideas and plans he had for Atlanta, for all the neighborhood and stuff like that, we said, hold on there. We need to ask you a few questions. That you all have not came back with the promise you made to us, that he was one of the ones that kind of helped negotiate the last deal that was going to replace because the city used the inner domain to take people's property on that block that we're talking about. And then he came in, before he was elected, he came in making a promise that things would get worked out. It didn't get worked out the way he promised because they went ahead and negotiated a deal with the last three property owners and to put them to sale, which they were probably tired of fighting. They had been a 12-year fight trying to keep the city from not doing that because the city had promised to put more of a nice, park similar to what they had in Oakland. Some of y'all might be the one that got a cook bar over the Vine City area. They were going to do something like that. They never told us they was intending to put a bar. And so that's why we've been pushing it and trying to make things happen. So you have to make it happen. We don't need to protest. We don't know. We got to the point there where he started having a meeting with us before we could get the importance we set up. We met in the mayor's cabinet with his chief of staff and people like that. He actually was there for the first 3 meetings because we was trying to get something going because we were going to go more public if he did not meet with us or talk with us. So like I said, we had to force it to happen. And he started meeting with us and he assigned different people with us. They ended up making a commitment. They would meet with the neighborhood on a quarterly basis. They would come into the neighborhood with the watershed management, also with the construction company who have been granted the contract to build this vault. So we still have those regular meetings with them and still trying to call them out on things they're not doing or should be doing. So that's an ongoing process. So just because they get with you and say they're going to do this, they don't mean they're going to do what they said they're going to do. So you got to keep on pushing. You got to be a fighter. It's not one of those things that you think that it's just going to happen automatically. You got to fight for it. So community engagement, so wherever you live at, get involved and get engaged with the community from a neighborhood perspective, from the NPU, whatever you got going in that community, get involved and get engaged because you have a right to do that. That's your right anyway.
Daylights from pipes near East Point because many of its original headwater streams were buried during urban development. The river travels through 7 counties before becoming part of the Mulligan River system. And this is it's really called the full name is the South Mulligan River. I often wonder, well, why do they call it the South River? It's south of what? So anyway, the South River watershed covers an area larger than the city of Atlanta itself. The river flows approximately 60 miles from the Atlanta area through DeKalb, Clayton, Henry, Rockdale, Newton, Bucks counties before reaching Lake Jackson. And you know that this river that we're standing on now, the waters will eventually end up in the Atlantic Ocean. Now here's the important part, the environmental justice part. The South River is widely regarded as one of Georgia's most polluted rivers and has been listed among America's most endangered rivers because of chronic sewage contamination and other pollution problems. Now listen to this. The Upper South River watershed is home to more than 450,000 Black, marginalized, and other vulnerable residents, making the river's condition a significant environmental justice issue. Many of these communities have historically been majority Black neighborhoods and have experienced disinvestment, industrial impacts, and limited access to environmental amenities. The South River corridor runs through or adjacent to these communities as the city of Atlanta. And I wanted to know, where are these communities? I didn't know, you say 450,000 Black residents. What communities are we talking about? And for those of you who have ever gone down I-20, you'll recognize some of these names of these communities. The communities include East Point, Lakewood Heights, South Atlanta, Thomasville Heights, going down Moreland Avenue near that drive-in theater down there, that's Thomasville, Polar Rock, South River Gardens, Penrose Heights, Orchard Knob, Browns Mill Park. And as the river enters DeKalb County, it flows through these neighborhoods: Gresham Park, Panthersville, Boulder Crest, Conley, Ellenwood, Belvedere Park, Glenwood area. And the river has suffered from sewage pollution in the 1960s. Aging sewer infrastructure and repeated sewer spills have released millions of gallons of untreated sewage into the watershed. The South River Watershed Alliance, which is headed by Jackie Eccles, and hopefully she's going to talk to us sometime before the class is over with, is charged with protecting the South River and for the benefit of communities that are in that watershed. So that's all I have to say. Unless there are any questions.
I, the owner of the Neighbors Group, want to provide you all with this information because the work isn't done. Environmental justice is a daily fight because clean water is a human right. Thank you.